Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and this is the first episode of a new series that I'm doing, which is called 3D Printer 101. And in this series I'll be going through 101 tips and tricks just as I do with the RGS3 101. But this one will be more hands-on, so I'll be going through and showing how I design stuff from Fusion all the way up to the 3D printing process. We'll be going through different things like tolerance settings, calibrating printer and everything. But before we go into the hands-on, we're going to go through a brief historical research and give you some information about 3D printing, like how it gets started and everything, so that we know how the printer works before we do hands-on. So this is another educational video, first in the series, and we're going to go right to the presentation, and I hope you enjoy the information. As I always do, I try my best to bring across as simple as possible. So let's get to the presentation. Many people buy a 3D printer, load a model, press print, and watch the machine build something layer by layer. But behind that seemingly simple process is a surprisingly complex combination of mechanical engineering, material science, electronics, and software control systems. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the fundamental architecture of the modern FDM 3D printer, including the motion systems, extrusion system, thermal control systems, firmware, and the digital workflow that converts a 3D model into real-world motion. To understand how modern 3D printers work, it's helpful to briefly look at the history of additive manufacturing. The concept of building objects layer by layer dates back to the early 1980s. In 1984, Chuck Hull invented stereolithography, which used ultraviolet light to cure liquid resin into solid layers. This was one of the first commercially viable additive manufacturing systems. A few years later, Scott Crump developed fused deposition modeling, or FDM, which uses melted thermoplastic filament to create objects. His company, Stratasys, commercialized the technology, and it quickly became a popular rapid prototyping method in industrial like aerospace, automotive, and product design. For decades, these machines were extremely expensive, often costing tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars. But in the early 2000s, the RipRap open source project began developing self-replicating 3D printers using affordable hardware. This movement ultimately led to the explosion of consumer desktop 3D printer that we see today. Traditional manufacturing methods such as CNC machining are subtractive processes. They start with a block of material and remove material until the desired shape is achieved. 3D printer works differently. It is an additive process, meaning the object is built by adding material layer by layer. A digital model is sliced into hundreds or thousands of thin layers. The printer then constructs each of these layers sequentially until the full object is formed. This approach allows extremely complex geometries that would be difficult or impossible to manufacture using traditional machining techniques. Before a 3D printer begins building an object, there is an important digital workflow that takes place. First, a 3D model is created using CAD software such as Fusion 360, SolidWorks, or Blender. The model is then exported into a format like STL or 3MF. Next, the model is loaded into slicing software. The slicer analyzes the geometry and converts it into machine instructions known as G-code. These instructions tell the printer exactly where to move, how fast to move, and how much material to extrude. Once a G-code file is generated, it can be sent to the printer via SD card, USB connection, or network interface. At the hardware level, most FDM 3D printers share a common architecture consisting of several key subsystems. The first is the structural frame, which provides rigidity and stability. A strong frame is important because vibration or flex can introduce visible defects in 3D printed parts. The second subsystem is the motion system. This includes stepper motor, belts, pulleys, and linear rails that control movement along the X, Y, and Z axis. The third subsystem is the extrusion system, which pushes filament through a heated nozzle. Additionally, including a build plate, controls electronics, power supply, and cooling system. Motion control is one of the most critical aspects of a 3D printer's design. Most desktop printers use stepper motors to achieve precise movement. Stepper motors rotate in small incremental steps, allowing the printer to move the printhead extremely accurately. These motors are connected to belts or lead screws, translate rotational movements into linear movements along the printer's axes. Different printer architecture exists, including Cartesian systems, CoreXY systems, and Delta printers. Each design has advantages and trade-offs related to speed, complexity, and accuracy. The extrusion system is responsible for delivering filament to the Hotend. Filament is pulled from the spool and pushed into the extruder by a drive gear powered by a stepper motor. The gear grips the filament and feeds it forward. There are two primary extrusion system designs: direct drive and Bowden. In a direct drive setup, the extruder motor is mounted directly on the printhead. This provides precise filament control and works well with flexible materials. In a Bowden system, the extruder motor is mounted on the frame, and filament is pushed through a long tube to the Hotend. This reduces moving mass and allows faster printing speed. The Hotend is where filament is melted and prepared for extrusion. A typical Hotend consists of several components, including a heater cartridge, transistor, heat block, heat break, and heat sink. The heater cartridge generates heat, while the transistor measures temperature and provides feedback to the control system. The heat break prevents heat from traveling upwards into the extruder assembly, which could soften filament and permanently cause jam. Maintaining stable temperature is critical for consistent extrusion. 3D printers use closed-loop control system known as PID controllers to regulate at-end temperature. The firmware constantly monitors the thermistor and adjusts heater power to maintain a desired temperature. Cooling fans are also important. One fan cools the heat sink of the Hotend, preventing heat creep, while another fan cools the printed material to help solidify quickly. The build plate is the surface where the object is printed. Many printers use heated build plates to improve adhesion and reduce warping. Heating the plate keeps the lower level of the print warm, reducing thermal stress. Common build surfaces include glass, PEI sheet, and textured spring steel plates. Each material provides different adhesion characteristics. Firmware acts as the brain of the printer. Popular firmware platforms include Merlin, Clipper, and RipRap firmware. The firmware reads G-code commands and translates them into precise motor movements and temperature adjustments. For example, the command G1 tells the printer to move the print head to a specific coordinate while extruding filament. Thousands of these commands are executed during a single print. As the nozzle moves across the print area, molten plastic is deposited onto the previous layer. The material quickly cools and solidifies, bonding with the layer beneath it. The strength of the final part depends heavily on how these layers are fused together. This is why temperature control, cooling, and print speed all plays an important role in the final strength. Modern 3D printers are sophisticated machines that combines mechanical engineering, electronics, and software into a single manufacturing system. From the digital design stage to the motion control hardware and thermal extrusion process, every component must work together precisely in order to produce a high-quality print. Understanding these systems and how they interact is the foundation for mastering 3D printing. In the next episode, we'll continue to dive deeper into the technologies that make this possible. So I hope you guys enjoyed that presentation as we went through a few historical data alongside with different parts of the 3D printer and how it actually works. So as this series goes along, we'll be doing more deep dive and more technical aspect of the 3D printer. And that will cover 3D print designing, calibration, and all the aspects on what to do and what not to do. So thanks for watching, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode of 3D Printer 101.